It was just another scorching afternoon in rural Texas when Jake Thompson, a 28-year-old mechanic, wiped the sweat from his brow and slid back under the old Ford truck he'd been working on since morning. His shop wasn't anything fancy, just a couple of lifts, worn-out tools, and a dusty sign that read, Jake's Auto Repair. But what the place lacked in size, Jake made up for in heart. Just as he reached for his wrench, the blaring siren of an ambulance shattered the air. He instinctively stood up only to see the emergency vehicle wobbling as it came to a stop right in front of his garage. Smoke poured from under its hood, and the siren died out with a sad whimper. The back doors burst open, and two paramedics jumped out. One of them yelled, "We've got a patient in cardiac arrest. The engine's dead. We can't wait." Jake didn't hesitate for a second. He sprinted over, opened the hood, and took a quick look. Your belt's shredded and the radiator hose is leaking. "I can patch it, but I need tools now." The paramedics nodded, clearly desperate. Jake dove in, using duct tape, wire, and whatever he could find. His hands moved with the speed and precision only a man who'd spent his life with engines could muster. In just 7 minutes, the ambulance coughed, groaned, and came back to life. As the medics slammed the doors and roared off down the road, an official in a white shirt and hospital ID badge stepped out of a trailing vehicle. He looked furious. "Who authorized you to touch that ambulance?" the man barked. "That's state property. You violated multiple protocols." Jake, still catching his breath, said calmly, "There wasn't time. Someone was dying. I had to do something." But the man wasn't listening. He snapped a photo of Jake's ID posted near the garage window and said coldly, "Expect a formal complaint. You're liable for any consequences." Within hours, Jake's boss, who ran the garage but had never liked Jake's act now, explained later. Attitude called him into the office. "You know, you weren't supposed to touch an official emergency vehicle. This could shut us down." Jake tried to explain the patient was dying. But it was no use. "You're fired, Jake. We can't afford this kind of attention." Later that night, Jake sat at the kitchen table of his small home, his mother resting in the other room. Bills were piling up, and now he had no job. All he had was the knowledge that maybe he'd helped save someone's life. But at what cost? What Jake didn't know was that the man inside that ambulance, the man whose heart had nearly stopped, was Charles Whitmore, CEO of Whitmore Automotive, one of the most powerful figures in the car industry. And Charles never forgot the people who saved him. The next morning, Jake was already up at dawn, sipping stale coffee and scanning job boards on his cracked phone. His savings were nearly gone, and with his mom's medical bills mounting, every second counted. He considered picking up work at a junkyard 2 towns over, but it felt like a dead end. His mind kept replaying the moment he patched up that ambulance, the adrenaline, the urgency, and the humiliating fallout. Just as he was about to leave the house, a sleek black SUV pulled into his driveway. Jake stepped outside cautiously. Out stepped a man in a tailored suit with silver hair and piercing eyes. Behind him, 2 other men in sunglasses stood silently. "Jake Thompson?" the man asked. Jake nodded slowly. "Yeah." The man extended his hand. "I'm Charles Whitmore. You might not recognize me, but I was in the back of that ambulance you fixed." Jake froze. "You were the patient." Charles smiled. "I was having a heart attack. The doctors told me I wouldn't have made it if the ambulance hadn't restarted when it did." "You saved my life." Jake was stunned. "I just did what anyone would have done. I didn't expect anything." Charles gestured toward the SUV. "I did. And I believe in rewarding people who do the right thing even when it costs them." He handed Jake an envelope. Inside was a formal letter on Whitmore Automotive letterhead. Jake read aloud, "Offer of employment, head of emergency vehicle engineering." He looked up in disbelief. "I've been trying to revamp how emergency vehicles are designed and maintained," Charles said. Most engineers don't know what it's like to fix a machine under pressure. But you do. I want you on my team. Jake's mouth fell open. But I don't have a degree. I'm just a small-town mechanic. Charles placed a firm hand on his shoulder. You're not just anything. You're someone who thinks fast, acts smart, and saves lives. That's more than most people can say. You'll have a full benefits package, relocation assistance, and your mother's medical bills already covered. Jake was speechless. Emotions surged through him. Relief, disbelief, gratitude. 2 months later, Jake was walking through the state-of-the-art Whitmore Auto Facility in Austin, Texas. His name was now on a door that read, Director Field Response Innovation. He was heading a new division focused on improving real-time reliability for emergency response vehicles. His work was saving lives nationwide. Back in his hometown, his former boss read about Jake in a trade magazine and nearly choked on his sandwich. And Jake, he never let success change who he was. Every time someone asked how he got the job, he simply said, I got fired for doing the right thing, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because sometimes one bold act of kindness opens the door to the future you never imagined.